All right, so it says, what is the equation of a hyperbola with vertices 2, -3, and 2, 1, and asymptotes of y equals 1/2 x minus 2, and y equals -1/2 x? Well, first off, just give you a visualization of what a hyperbola looks like. There's two types. There's a left-right, there's an up-down. So if it's a left-right hyperbola, you're going to have a center. You're going to have a vertex and a vertex. You're going to have a focal point beyond the vertex and another focal point beyond the vertex. And you're going to have a slant asymptote going through the center like that, and another slant asymptote going the opposite direction through the center, kind of like that. And then you're going to have the asymptote kind of contains the graph. So it goes to the vertex, kind of hugs along the asymptotes here. So it's going to go like this, through the vertex like that, and then here through the vertex like that. That's how you graph, that's what the graph on an ellipse looks like. So when they tell me in the problem that my vertices are 2, -3, and 2, 1, okay, that gives me the up-down version. Let me just draw that one real quick. Up-down. Again, we're going to have a vertex, or sorry, center. We're going to have a vertex up, a vertex down. We're going to have a focus up, a focus down. Okay. And then you still have a slant asymptote going through the center here. And one coming the opposite direction here. Some people think that those have to be at right angles. They don't have to be, but they're going to have opposite sign slopes. So it'd be opposite reciprocals would make them perpendicular, but opposite sign just makes them just go different directions. And then the graph would be here and here. Okay, so you have either 5 points lined straight up and down or 5 points lined straight left and right, and then the asymptotes always look the same. It doesn't matter up, down, left, right, the asymptotes look the same. All right? So when they give me information that says vertices are 2, -3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 would be a vertex. I'm going to put a V next to it. And 2, 1, 2 right, 1 up, put a V next to it. There's my two vertices. The fact that the vertices are going up and down of one another tells me it's an up-down hyperbola. The other thing they tell me is the equations of the asymptotes, y equals positive 1/2 x minus 2 and y equals negative 1/2 x plus 0. If we go back to this page with your standard forms on it here, it says slopes of asymptotes equals plus or minus b over a. All right? And b and a are these numbers underneath x squared and y squared. All right? So if I come back over here, they gave me these equations, but the number I need to know, the useful information they give me, slope lives in front of x. So the equation of the asymptotes of y equals positive 1/2 x minus 2 and negative 1/2 x. The slopes of the asymptotes equals plus or minus 1 over 2. What that tells me is that b over a is equal to 1 over 2. All right. Now, if I don't know what either b or a is, that's not useful information yet, but it can be used to help us find what we're looking for. All right? But at least I know b over a reduces to half. That means a could be 2 and b could be 1, a could be 4, b could be 2, a could be 3, b could be, or 6, b could be 3, and so on. So the fraction reduces to half doesn't mean that a and b equal 1 and 2. All right, so be careful of that. So, first thing I'm going to do with the points they gave me is I'm going to establish the center. The center is halfway between the vertices. It's halfway between the focal points. In this case, I'm given vertices. What's halfway between this point and this point? 2, -1. So my center is here. All right? And my center, like every other conic section, that point of reference, ellipse, circle, and now hyperbola center with the parabola, we call it the vertex of the parabola, right? But it's that main point, that HK point, right? So if the center is 2, -1, that means that H equals 2 and K equals -1. The other thing I know right off the bat, just by graphing what I've graphed, is it's an up-down hyperbola. It looks like this, which means I'm going to be using the up-down hyperbola standard form, this one here. So my answer is going to look exactly like this. My task is to replace h and k and a and b with the numbers that they are. All right, so I'm using the, I'm going to erase, is everybody okay with me erasing these so I have room? All right, so I recognize it as the vertical standard form, so y minus k squared over b squared minus x minus h squared over a squared equals 1. And as I said with these other conic sections, the standard form is very precise. The squares are necessary. The minus signs, where there's minus signs, are necessary. Minus h and minus k mean change the sign of h and k when you substitute them in, and so on and so forth. All right, there's a lot of precision to this, but again, it's just a matter of putting things where they belong correctly. My task basically is establish the correct form, which is this form, and then figure out what h, k, a, and b equal. Well, I already know h and k. I know b over a reduces to a half, and what b is the vertical distance to a vertex. So b is equal to 2 in this particular problem. Once I've established what the center is, I can figure out b. If the vertices were left and right, that distance would be a. All right, so with a hyperbola, information for a hyperbola, you can figure out what either b or a is based on a vertex. You can't figure out both based on a vertex. All right, so can we all agree then, based on that fact, that since the distance from the center to the vertex is 2, either up or down, we're going 2 up, 2 down. That's what b equals every single time. So b is equal to 2. And then this slopes of asymptotes little proportion now is usable because now I know what b equals. So I can take this thing and say now 2 over a equals 1 over 2. And just replace b with 2 because we figured out what b equaled based on the information.
So b doesn't equal 1 then, like it says
b over a equals a half. It reduces to a half, but that doesn't mean b equals 1 or a equals 2. It just means it reduces to a half. We have to figure out a or b to be able to use that to find the other one. All right? So b is equal to 2, and b over a is equal to a half, so 2 over a equals a half. We cross multiply. 1 times a is a, 2 times 2 is 4, so a is equal to 4. So this is my correct structure of my standard form, the y squared first because it's up and down. H equals 2, k equals -1, b equals 2, a equals 4. So now I just replace all those numbers in the standard form to write the answer. So parentheses y parentheses squared over something minus parentheses x parentheses squared over something equals 1. Every answer is going to look like that to start off with before you substitute stuff in. H goes with x, change the sign. K goes with y, change the sign. Be careful, the order is not always x first, y second. So H goes with x, K goes with y. Both signs become opposite. Positive 2, minus 2, -1, plus 1. B goes under y, b is 2, b squared goes under, so 4. A squared's under x, a is 4, a squared is 16. And there's my equation. Okay, so use the evidence to find the numbers that you need along with the correct standard form structure to write the correct answer.